The Collapse of Somalia, 1991. The collapse of Somalia occurred in 1991, following the flight of the country's military ruler, President Mohammed Siad Barre, who fled as his regime crumbled. This collapse triggered a devastating civil war, the breakdown of the economy, and the complete disintegration of law and order across the country. 1. Uprisings and rebel movements against Siad Barre, 1980s-1991. During Siad Barre's rule, 1969 to 1991, several opposition groups and armed movements rose up against his increasingly authoritarian regime. The failed coup of 1978. On April 9, 1978, a group of military officers attempted a coup against Barre's government. The plot failed, and 17 officers accused of leading the coup, including Colonel Mohammed Sheikh Osman, were executed. Among the surviving plotters was Colonel Abdullahi Yusuf Ahmed, who fled the country after the coup attempt. Formation of the SSDF. In September 1978, Abdullahi Yusuf founded the Somali Salvation Front, SSF, which later became the Somali Salvation Democratic Front, SSDF, in October 1981. Based in Ethiopia's Somali region, the Ogaden, the SSDF fought government forces mainly in the Mudug and Galgudud regions, where fierce battles took place over towns like Balanbale and Goldagab. The Somali National Movement, SNM. The SNM, established in 1981, operated primarily in northern Somalia, present-day Somaliland, launching major offensives from Togdheer and Wokoyi Galbeed regions. By 1988, they controlled most of the north, including Hargeisa and Bako, though the battles were accompanied by brutal aerial bombardments and mass civilian casualties. The SNM's campaigns intensified after Siad Barre and Ethiopian leader Mengistu Haile Mariam signed a peace agreement in April 1988, which reduced Ethiopian support for Somali insurgents. The Somali Patriotic Movement, SPM. Established in 1989, the SPM was active in Jubaland, Bay, and Bacol. By 1990, it had taken control of Kismayo, Baydhabo, and much of southern Somalia, further weakening Barre's hold on power. By November 1990, Aided's USC forces had decisively defeated Somalia's elite 21st Division in Mudug, Galgudud, and Iran. The momentum carried through to January 26, 1991, when the USC seized Mogadishu, forcing Siad Barre to flee the capital and ending his 21-year rule. 2. Consequences of the collapse. The fall of Somalia's central government in 1991 unleashed a wave of destruction and instability that persists to this day. Civil war and insecurity, the country descended into violent clan-based warfare. Political fragmentation, various factions and regions declared autonomy, weakening national unity. Economic decline, national institutions collapsed, crippling trade and development. Collapse of public services, education, healthcare, and infrastructure broke down completely. Rise of extremism, armed groups and terrorist organizations thrived in the power vacuum. Mass displacement, millions became refugees or internally displaced. International impact, the collapse of Somalia became a global concern, leading to foreign interventions and humanitarian crises. 3. What if Somalia had not collapsed? Had the Somali state survived beyond 1991, the trajectory of the nation, and even Africa, might have been radically different. Strong central government, Somalia could have maintained unity and stability, avoiding decades of lawlessness and fragmentation. Economic growth, with its strategic location, rich resources, and vibrant trade routes, Somalia might have rivaled Gulf states such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait. Intelligence and security, Somalia could have developed one of Africa's strongest security and intelligence agencies, comparable to those of Egypt or Nigeria. Modern infrastructure, roads, ports, airports, and industries would likely have placed Somalia among Africa's most advanced nations. Somali Airlines, once the pride of the nation, might have competed with Ethiopian Airlines as a leading carrier on the continent. Education and healthcare, continued investment in social services would have produced a more educated, healthier population. Cultural flourishing, Somali literature, poetry, music, and art, once vibrant, could have thrived further instead of being endangered by war and displacement. Stronger global standing, Somalia was once highly respected on the world stage. A functioning state would have attracted foreign investment, stronger diplomatic ties, and greater influence in African and global affairs. Preserved national unity, without collapse, separatist tendencies would likely not have emerged, and the country's territorial integrity would have been preserved. Conclusion. The collapse of Somalia in 1991 remains one of the most tragic turning points in African history. It transformed a once promising nation into a symbol of state failure, with consequences still felt more than 3 decades later. Yet, imagining an alternative path reminds us of Somalia's potential, a nation that could have stood as one of Africa's most powerful, prosperous, and culturally vibrant states.